With Nuvolo, you can also reduce your facility spend by optimizing the equipment that you have, increasing your technician productivity, and also increasing the utilization of your technicians as well. On top of that, one of the challenges we typically see is accountability with maintenance suppliers. So with Nuvolo, you can understand things like the performance of the suppliers that you have and understanding the costs associated to doing business with them. First off, understanding and having a source of truth of knowing the equipment that you have on hand to understand things like repair versus replace, understand service history, and also to be able to understand who supports it and who owns what. Here what we're looking at is we're within the browser. In this scenario, we'd probably be considered a facilities technician or perhaps a supervisor, understanding which equipment you have in the inventory. What I'll do now is go ahead to open up an equipment record, and I can show you the type of information that you can track, which will allow you to help reduce facility spend. So first off, managing facilities equipment, you can track things like unique identifiers. So when a technician walks up to a device, he or she will know exactly which equipment it is to be able to reference the record that we're looking at now. It's also important to note that Nuvolo has a mobile application, which we'll be covering off later on in the demonstration. Within the facilities record, you can also be tracking things like condition and the status of the equipment. So that way you can time your replacement of the equipment. You can track things like equipment segmentation or asset types. That way you can know, for example, how many HVACs you have, how many refrigeration units you have. And then also knowing exactly where it's located, where you can reference on a floor plan where it'll drop a pin directly where that equipment is located. So that way when a technician receives that work order or to go do a scheduled maintenance, he or she will know exactly where to go. You'll also see the ability to manage make, model, manufacturer. This will become very useful when it comes time to replace this equipment, to know, for example, which model or which manufacturer has been performing well. You'll also notice the ability to manage warranty expirations. Customers are using this to maximize the use of their warranties. Some are even becoming proactive about that. So for example, initiating a scheduled maintenance or an inspection on their equipment, which has a soon expiring warranty. You also see the ability to know who owns it and who supports it. That way, automating your work order assignments. So when work comes in from the portal from end users, or perhaps a scheduled maintenance, work can be automatically routed to these individuals or these groups. That way, once again, increasing efficiency of your processes. I talked about repair versus replace, and by understanding the financial information associated to equipment, you can better understand, one, what does it cost to maintain this device to date, and also what is going to be the cost to then replace it. So here you can see it broken down into more accumulated costs, such as labor, materials, or parts, which then roll up into the total cost of ownership. This information is being tracked when work orders are being completed using Nuvolo. They can add in all of their itemized costs, such as labor or materials, which will then accumulate to give you an idea of things, the information that we see here. You can also have more of your accounting like costs, such as list price, acquisition, book value, and understanding also end of life. So that way in your dashboard or in your reporting, you can see when all of your equipment is coming end of life, and you can better plan to then budget to replace those. I talked about the performance. So understanding how many times a corrective work order has been generated to replace or repair this device. This starts to give you an idea of things like, 10 fault counts or 10 corrective work orders in the last 90 days. And also when it comes time to replace this device, you can know exactly where it went for compliance purposes. Within Nuvolo, you also have complete service history directly within the equipment record. This gives you better historical information, so when you go out to do work, you know exactly when the last time parts were replaced, who performed the work last, and also it allows you to start identifying underlying symptoms, which if corrected can extend the life of your equipment. You can also manage schedule maintenance. So generating automated schedule maintenance to know, for example, when your schedule work needs to be completed, knowing the contracts associated with it to make sure to take advantage of those third-party contracts, and also knowing, for example, which parts are being used or if there's hazardous materials associated to this. I mentioned schedule maintenance, which is another way to extend the life of your equipment, making sure that based on the manufacturer specifications, work is being performed on a reoccurring basis to replace things like filters or to do audits or inspections. With Nuvolo, this gives you the ability to, one, set up your schedule maintenance up front, and then it'll automatically apply to the work, to the equipment, or to the locations that's defined here. Here you can say, for example, it's a quarterly maintenance that's reoccurring. You want it to start on this date. This is how many days in advance you want this work order to be assigned. And then also doing things like resource planning, so you can better plan the number of resources you need on hand, and also understand the estimated cost to complete these. Another way to help reduce your facility spend is maximize the use of your workforce, and also understanding which resources you need on hand to complete the work. Here you can see a Supervisor Dashboard. This gives a supervisor the ability to understand how many work orders are due today, how many work orders are outstanding, and also the workload per individual. So for example, if a technician is going out of office or perhaps is overwhelmed with schedule or corrective work orders, this gives the supervisor the ability to reassign that work to make sure that work gets completed on time. As a technician, this gives the technician the ability within their dashboard to see which work they have due today. They can prioritize their work based on things like SLAs, or for example, how long the work order has been outstanding. And then also thinking about other dashboards and reporting, you can maximize the use of your third parties, understanding the performance of those third parties and also the costs associated to doing business with them. And what I'm going to do now is go ahead to pull up the Nuvolo mobile application to show you what it looks like as a technician to complete the work and manage equipment. So here what we're looking at is the ability to access all of their work orders and equipment directly from the mobile application. Here you can see it sits directly on the device. It's a native application that operates both online and offline. Here within the facilities dashboard, it gives me the ability to manage my work based on priority and also manage equipment. We also have the ability to barcode scan. So for example, if a technician were to walk up to equipment, they can barcode scan to know exactly which work orders apply to that. What they can also do is access other work that's been assigned to them. When they first open up that work order, they know all of the information that was provided when this request was first made. They know, for example, what is expected to be done, where the equipment is located. They can also have a checklist to complete as a part of that process. Checklists are a way to standardize your process and procedures, and also make sure that everything that's performed on the equipment is documented and time logged. As the technician also completes this work order, they can track things like labor, parts, materials. You'll see the start-stop timer. This is a way to track the amount of time it took to process through this work order, which then can be applied to internal labor rates to know, for example, the cost of the labor performed on this equipment. The technician can also add itemized costs such as parts, materials. And then as we go to further complete this work order, we can also add further documentation, such as adding a picture to the work order. Here you'll see, for example, I'll just take a picture of my computer, add it to the work order. Add signatures to identify that the work has been completed to exactly how it was assigned. And then also adding things like work notes, where they can say, using talk to text or typing it in, work order is complete. At the point of saving, they close that work order out and then move on to the next work that they need to complete. Work orders can also be entered in or requested directly from the portal. So this gives an end user the ability to go to a portal, to log in, and to submit a request for work. This input allows for accurate reporting and also allows for the technician to ensure that they have all the information that they need to complete it. As an end user, I can enter in information such as where is this work that needs to be performed. I can identify duplicate work orders by identifying related work orders associated to that space. And then also they can add attachments or enter in further information.